Good morning. My name is Sam. I am an alcoholic and I'm also a son of recovery. Let's start out with the Serenity Prayer. Good and gracious God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. So I'm reading through 12 Secular Steps, which I gotta say I've really been enjoying. This is pretty awesome. So we're on chapter 9, or chapter 5, which is the first 90 days sober, and steps 1, 2, 3. The most fatal thing a man can do is try to stand alone. A quote by Carson McCullers, The Heart is a Lonely Hunter. Chapter summary. In early recovery, the addictive voice was persistently In early recovery, the addictive voice will persistently hound you with urges like, just one more time, no one will know, or it's just a matter of time until you give in, so why fight it? Or even, so what, you screwed up again, just keep it under control from now on. It may seem that this voice is your own inner voice, but don't be fooled. This voice belongs to a psychological parasite called the addictive drive. It has a brain, your brain, so it knows everything you know. It's a formidable enemy, one that might one day take your life. Please don't ignore it, underestimate it, or hope it will go away on its own. That is all very true things from my own experience. In addition to fighting off this demon, most addicts new to recovery additionally struggle with depression, resentment, loneliness, depression, financial crisis, and relentless self-loathing. I remember times when it seemed like every thought and emotion within me was pushing me toward a little relief through relapse. If you go into this fight alone and unprepared, I doubt you will last very long. With that said, welcome to the most important chapter in this book. Our goal here is to introduce the essential tools and strategies to serve one purpose: achieve the first 90 days of sobriety. This can be a Herculean task, and we'll get right to the work of building a recovery toolbox and outlining a 90-day plan. The tools and strategies presented here are not original. They are common suggestions that newcomers will hear over and over in AA and NA. They worked for me in my early recovery, and in turn, I now endorse them to you. Before we start, attend to physical needs and safety. If we are deprived of adequate food, shelter, safety, or meaningful human contact, it will be hard to build a solid foundation that will sustain our future sobriety. Miraculously, some who are deprived of housing, money, and ties to friends and family still manage to build enough support and motivation to realize a long-lasting recovery. It has been amazing to witness recoveries against such odds, but there are so many failures against these odds as well. It can be very difficult to find adequate help for a newcomer who is faced with substantial financial and personal needs they cannot currently meet on their own. Most of us begin recovery before we have hit so low a bottom that we have lost everything, but the climb can still be very steep. Generally, addicts begin their recovery in crisis mode, and at the same time are physically, emotionally, and psychologically worn down by hardships caused by years, if not decades, of addiction. On the whole, the topic of financial housing and medical support is beyond what I can cover in this book, but I will say that when newcomers keep coming back to meetings and openly talk to members about their difficulties, I've often seen solutions come about for them in the rooms of AA and NA. Someone will help them find temporary work or to obtain aid through an assistance program. Many times I've seen members help those new to their groups get placement in rehabilitation facility or a bed in a halfway house. Help with transportation, especially ride to meetings, is often easy to arrange. No one can make promises that AA or NA will help solve financial and medical problems, but to avail themselves of potential assistance in the rooms, it's important that newcomers show up and get involved. Don't tread water around the rescue boat. Get in the boat. I love that quote. Medically supervised drug detoxification and inpatient-outpatient rehab. Ideally, everyone beginning their recovery should have a medical and psychological assessment and pursue appropriate treatment and stabilization. An assessment may indicate the medical management of withdrawals is appropriate, especially for those addicted to alcohol, heroin, narcotic painkillers, and benzodiazepine class drugs used for anxiety and insomnia. In such cases, the journey may start in an inpatient drug and alcohol detoxification unit. This may be followed by admittance into an inpatient or outpatient rehabilitation program. I only mention these aspects of recovery, but additional information is available through hotlines and many online resources that are easy to find and access. Successfully recovered people at AA or NA meetings may be very knowledgeable on local resources. Tools and strategy for early recovery. If you're going up against this 500-pound gorilla known as your addictive drive, it might benefit you to have a plan. Arm yourself with tried and true tools, grab the heavy ones, and bring some friends into the fight with you. AA and NA will help you put all this together. Oh yes, and one more thing. Don't forget the little catchphrases you'll hear 1,000 times in AA and NA meetings. These phrases such as, don't drink or use today no matter what, play the tape through, and do this a day at a time, a minute at a time when necessary, tend to echo in your head at just the right moment to help you resist relapse. They work by allowing you to stop, think for a moment, and engage the most powerful tool available, choice. When you go into the fight, have the right frame of mind when things get tough. Early recovery toolbox. Don't drink or use today, no matter what. Repeat this phrase so many times that it becomes a reflex. Include it in your 90-day plan as a daily commitment to be renewed each morning. Also, using it as a mantra during meditation can be very helpful. Create a personal recovery network. Get a sponsor. Get phone numbers from recovered addicts at meetings. Pick people with sobriety that you respect. I always suggest folks with at least a year clean. Call them at least weekly. Get to know them well enough that you won't hesitate to call during moments when you're struggling to stay sober. 12-step programs have a long tradition of recommending 90 in 90, which means make 90 meetings in your first 90 days of sobriety. If you go over 90, that's okay. And that is okay. Because there are definitely times, I definitely hit the 90 and 90, but I probably did like 120. I mean, there were times where I definitely went to 2 meetings a day if I had to. Don't isolate. Communicate with someone in your recovery network every day. I cannot overstress the importance of avoiding too much time alone. Yes, that was one of the biggest problems with the pandemic when we shut down, as I think most of us know, is that, I mean, if you want to feed an addiction, isolate. That will feed it to the nth degree. And not being in meetings was very hard for people. Even online meetings are not that great. But they do serve a purpose. So take action if you experience cravings or if you feel stressed, irritable, or depressed. Act now. Don't wait for the balance to tip in favor of an impulsive slip. Things you can do include go to a meeting, talk to a sponsor or friend, do something instructive such as read recovery literature. It's okay if you divert your attention from your problems by helping someone out with the difficulty they are experiencing. Focus on living and recovering one day at a time. Minimize stress by focusing on your immediate day-by-day needs and priorities. Looking back, I see this as one of my top 3 tools in early recovery. The other 2 were a daily renewal of steps 1, 2, and 3, and the daily use of a support network. Whenever you can, but at least once a day, find a moment to relax and be content. Create moments when you trust that this is going to work out okay. This can be a moment of prayer or meditation if you like, as either of these are effective in quieting the noise and chaos in your head and replacing it with a calm focus on recovery. Focus on the solution and let go of the garbage. Often, we waste time obsessing about problems and people that we have no control over. Use the serenity prayer to create in your mind the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. As I pray every morning. When you experience anger or frustration, remember to pause and calm yourself long enough to mentally hit the reset button and engage your thought process. Learn your triggers. Avoid the people, places, and things associated with use. Learn about and start using effective coping skills. HALT, which is avoid hunger, angry, alone, and tired. Is a good one to know so that you avoid the stress and impulsive decisions caused by these. Play the tape through is another coping tool to get you to think about the consequences of the action you are about to take. Living Sober is an incredibly useful booklet written by AA member Barry Leach and subsequently published as a first edition in 1975 by AA World Services. This booklet is an excellent collection of practical strategies and tools that have been passed down by experienced members over the years. The book is neutral on topics of religion and focuses squarely on abstinence and living sober a day at a time. Many of the tools and strategies I learned in AA and NA fellowship appear in one form or another in this collection. The 90-Day Plan. My daily commitments. Create on paper a daily routine that you'll commit to for the first 90 days. Keep this written copy around to use as a checkoff list each day. An example of a daily routine. I will not drink or use no matter what today. I will take a moment, meditation or prayer, and clear away fear and worry and other mental background noise. I will calmly focus on my sobriety comes first today. I will stay in the solution no matter how stressful today is. I'll make the right choices. If I experience cravings or impulses, or if I have a plan to drink or use, I will call someone in my recovery network and talk about it. I will also read my first step inventory to reassure me that a slip is not worth it. I will avoid the people, places, and things associated with using. I will call my sponsor or at least one person in my recovery network today, and I will make a meeting today. Notice that everything listed above is an action. When you physically work a daily to-do list, instead of passively waiting on and thinking about recovery, you are building a real recovery. And remember, if you want to be sober in the long run, be sober today. There's no other way. Phase 1. Complete steps 1, 2, and 3. Complete a thorough and honest step 1, including a written step 1 inventory as explained below, and quickly follow with steps 2 and 3. Keep your step 1 inventory as on your person for 90 days. Use it every morning to reconfirm your first step conclusions. This will serve as a shield against denial and rationalizations. If any thought should come to mind suggesting you can control your drinking or use or just one last time, you'll see it is a lie. Wait it out and these cravings will pass. If you are in AA, start reading the big book, especially pages 1 through 164. For NA, the basic text. If you like, read both. In addition to basic text, there are many step working guides available in meetings and online. Some are sanctioned by AA or NA, some are not. You may want to ask a sponsor or anyone assisting you with step work which readings and guides they recommend. I'm just seeing how big this chapter is. Okay. Wonderful. So we're going to stop there for today, and then we're going to go on and we're going to go through the steps tomorrow. So that'll be great. Like I said, I really love this guy. I really love this book. I think this is a really wonderful resource, and it's going to be super helpful for people who may not want the super spiritual stuff. And it reminded me of a book. He just mentioned it. Living Sober is awesome, and I think that is the next book that I'm going to read on to, because that is a phenomenal book. But yes, we will stop there for right now, and we'll move on tomorrow. So, this is a great prayer. Always remember, there is no growth without pain. Pain is not optional, so hurt a little bit. There is no laughter without tears, so cry often. Don't be ashamed to cry, for if you don't, you will be ever secure, but always lonely. There is no peace without knowing turmoil in the soul, so be at war with yourself sometimes. And there is no grace without first wrestling with guilt. If you are wrestling, let God's grace surround you and give you new life. So with that, I'll leave and I'll say, please leave any comments, questions, or thoughts as always, and I hope you have a blessed day. Thank you.